The Texas Chain Saw Massacre game metagame stream recap. We got a lot to get into here. This was kind of a longer stream. I don't know how long this video is going to be. We're just going to wing it and see how long it goes. But I'm going to break down for you everything that they talked about so you get an idea of how the metagame is going to work. And by the way, if you don't be a jabroni when you go to their streams, by the way. There's so many people. They said 100 times throughout the stream, they're like, we are only fielding questions about the metagame. And I'd see partnered Twitch streamers were the worst at this. Adding them and being like, show the cosmetics. Will there be custom lobbies? They were like, we're not talking about that stuff. We're just talking about the metagame. Didn't stop people. So not only are we going to be talking about the stream, we're also going to be talking about the article that they released that's also diving into the metagame, because I had some specific questions that I tried to ask them on the stream. None of them got answered. And some of them do get answered in this article that they released. The one question I kept asking over and over again that didn't get answered does get answered in this article, so that's good. So to start out the stream, they were just like talking about the set and the new set they're on. You can see they're in like a basement looking thing. Oh, by the way, to get it out of the way real quick. Not that I say that like, oh, let's just get rid of it. G Fuel over there, this video brought to you by G Fuel. G Fuel, use that code Sledge right over there for 20% off. All right, so yeah, they started talking about the new set. And then at around the 2-minute mark, they start talking about how the build that they are showing off on stream is not the final build. That there's going to be some things that are different. And there's one thing that we'll talk about in a second that really shows how they were kind of hiding some things. But then at around the 4-minute mark, they started talking about the special abilities of each character. So like what it's actually called is the star sign ability. So that's like the character specific perk that each character has. That for survivors or victims, that is their star sign ability. And they went into detail about the reason that it is called that. I got a whole thing of notes here is why I keep looking down. The reason that it is called that is because in the original film, one of the women who's, part of the victims has an astrology book. So if that's something that interests you, not metagame related, but if you like some lore stuff, then there you go. They showed off Connie's star sign ability where you can modify her ability, which is very interesting. For that one, I think I'll go over to the actual article that they wrote, because they have just a straight up screenshot of it. There's the perk tree. We'll get into that in a minute. But when you look right here, when you look at their special ability, this is kind of what it looks like. So as you can see, you cannot just freely choose whatever you want. So like you start out down here, and then if you choose this one, you can only go, left, right, or forward. You can't go up here and then go left and grab this one and then grab this. You can't do that. You're locked into certain things. So that's especially true if you go right or left. If you go all the way to the right, then you can only choose this and this, and you're basically going to be, locked out of coming over here and grabbing one of these ones over to the left. So you have to make a decision on what you want to do with your skill tree. One of the things that they mentioned that I don't think is mentioned in this article is that the level 3 version of your ability drastically changes the way the ability functions. So you can barely see it on this. They didn't show anything in the actual stream because, like I said, it looked like the version that they were showing off in the stream was like an older one that didn't have the special drastically changed level 3 versions of the ability to hide it. But you can kind of see it right here. Like you'll see these are pretty standard. Like if you're leveling up Sissy, it says increases the amount of time a victim is affected by poison to 12 seconds. The level 2, all it does is up it to 13.5. So 1.5 second increase. And then you can kind of see down here, it says poison can now be applied to. So it changes the way the perk functions. Like now you can, you know, apply it to something it otherwise couldn't be applied to. So that's what they're talking about. It like changes the way the perk functions basically once it gets to level 3, which will be interesting because we didn't get any other information on like what those changes will be, but that's like the way it's going to work. So yeah, that's it for abilities, I think. They said that respecking will be free. You can see there's a respecking button right down here. But they said respecking will be free because they want you to have the ability to theory craft. And one of the things they mentioned specifically is if you get to a point where it's like late in the metagame, people have been playing for a few months, and they've kind of figured out like, oh, this perk's really OP, this perk's really OP. That way you could, if you didn't choose those perks, especially because as you'll see in a bit with the way their skill tree functions, how you have to like discover what is in each skill tree. You can't see what's in each skill tree to start, which a lot of people might not like. If you went the wrong way in the skill tree and didn't get the super meta perk, you can respec for free and then go and get that meta perk. So that's why they wanted respecking to be free. So if you find out, not only is it a way to experiment and theory craft, but if you find out, oh, I made a mistake and I went the wrong way, I went the like crappy way in the skill tree and got all the bad stuff, you could respec for free and go the other way and get the good stuff. So that's what they wanted. Also another interesting thing is like, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. We kind of went into this, but like if you go all the way to the right here, it completely locks off everything to the left. So like you can't go right and then go all the way to the left to get, like, you're not allowed to do that. So that's basically what that is. Like it seems like essentially you cannot combine the far left with the far right. Stuff will be locked at the start until you level up. You don't just have access to everything. So basically what that means, that sounds like really simple and obvious, but I think what that means is if they show up here a picture of the skill tree, I basically think that what that means is if you get 10 skill points, right? But you're only level 3. That might not be how it works. Maybe you get 1. But point is, let's say you have 10 skill points, but you're only level 3 with the character. It might be that to unlock this perk right here, you have to be level 5. Right? Similar to how Evil Dead works. So like you get up here and you're like, oh, I'm gonna want to go up here and grab this. I've got enough skill points to do it. And they'll be like, no, you got to level up and play this character a little bit more first. So that's a thing. At 1925, they showed off how it's fogged out and you can't see what you're missing out on. So I want to go back to the dev stream and show you like what I'm talking about here. Yeah, so there's basically like a fog of war, if you will, on the skill tree. So you can see it here. If you look here, you can't see what's up there, right? You can't see what going up or going to the right is ultimately going to unlock you. So you have to go through that part of the skill tree first to see what is available to you. So you're going to have to explore. This will probably be frustrating for a lot of people. I think it's cool because I think it extends that. I've always contended that the best time for an asymmetrical game is always when it first comes out, when nobody really knows what they're doing yet. Nobody really knows what's meta, what's OP, and they're all just kind of having fun. This system will probably extend that period even further because in a game like Evil Dead, where you can see everything that you're able to unlock right out the gate, you can theory craft right away and be like, oh, once I hit that level, I can unlock that perk and combine it with this perk, and that's going to be really strong. Can't do that until you've explored all these trees. So that'll extend that period where nobody knows what they're doing, which I think is cool. I think that's ultimately healthy for the games. So that'll be fun. Random node that awards a random perk. This one's interesting because I'm not 100% sure how this works. This could be really bad. And while we're here, I'll also kind of explain like how all of this works and how the skill tree works. So let me explain to you how the skill tree works. So when you start out, you start down here, and the first node is always going to be this thing right here. You have your basic little starting point that's down here, kind of just off screen. But then you come up here and you're at this three-way crossroads, right? And you can only choose one direction. That's it. If you choose one of these directions, you cannot go to the other ones. You can't. You get locked out. So if you go left, you cannot get access to anything that goes up here or to the right. So in the dev stream, this guy went left. You can see one of the perks there, Sneaky Pete. He goes left, and then he unlocks each of these individual things, and then he'll hit another crossroads. But anytime you see this little arrow symbol, that indicates a crossroads where you have to make a decision and go one direction or the other, and the other direction will be locked out for you. And as you can see up here, even if you come all the way around over up here and get up here and you're kind of at another crossroads, you cannot go back down and start picking these things. Even though the crossroads symbol isn't here, you cannot go back down here and start picking up these perks. You got to continue on further up. He also explained if there is not a little crossroads symbol, like right over here, which now that I say it is kind of confusing because there's not a crossroads symbol here, which imply that you can go down here, but you can't. But I suppose because it's X'd out, that lets you know that you can't go down there. But if you come over here and there is no crossroads symbol, it means you can go down here. You can go to this little short detour and pick up these attribute points and then keep continuing on. So if there is no crossroads thing, it means you can go both directions. The random node. So right up here is the random node that I mentioned. This one is interesting. So the way the random node works, the question mark, it means that when you pick that, it will award you with a random thing. When he highlighted it, it said, I think maybe each random node will award a different thing, but that node specifically said it would award a random perk. And he said that it is that perk that is awarded to you is different every single time you respec. So if you respec and work your way back up there and select it again, it'll be a different perk this time. I don't know fully how that works. It seems like it could be bad. Because if it gets to a point where you're fishing for a specific perk, like let's say there's one perk that you could possibly earn that's really OP, that you need to, like, let's say we figure out on Connie, you have to go left with Connie, because if you go left, she gets access to, like, you know, a bunch of different stuff that gives her the strongest build. But then we also figure out, not only do you need to go left to get the absolute, like, min-maxing strongest build you can get with her, you need to roll this perk on that random node. That's brutal, because then it means you're going to have to go up there, select that random node, hope you get it, and if you don't, respec and waste time doing it all over again until you finally roll the perk that you want. That's not good. I hope I'm wrong about that, and that's like not the way it works, and there's some other kind of wrinkle to this system that doesn't cause that, but that's kind of what it sounds like. So I hope that's either I'm wrong about that, or maybe that gets changed. At the 2812 mark, he shows off some perks. So in case anyone wants to see perks, they purposefully were like, you know, going past these perks so you couldn't see what they were, because he didn't want people to be able to see them in case they didn't want to be spoiled. I'm telling you right now, I'm spoiling you. If you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to skip these parts of the video. But like right here, you see Saboteur. You can see it says, after using a generator fuse box, the interaction cooldown for family members is 10 seconds longer. I've known about most of these because of leaks and stuff. The level 3 version of it is 30 seconds longer, so it goes up by 10 seconds for each level. The question that I had that didn't get answered on the stream, a random person in chat answered me, and I never believe random people in chat because it's 50-50 on whether or not they actually know what they're talking about. But it was confirmed in their little blog post that they made, and you can see it right here how it says level 1, and there's like an XP bar. To reach level 3 proficiency, you have to level up the perk. Now, I'm not... Let me double check, because they did answer it, but I believe that what it is you have to play with the perk to reach level 3 proficiency. Like, as you have the perk equipped, it will start to level up. Like, you have to have it equipped, and then you will level up and reach that maximum proficiency. So I believe that's what it is. But that's how you reach level 3 proficiency with your perks. Getting to the end of the skill tree will make your character level 10. Level 10 is the max character level. The character level and the account level, your player level, are different. We'll get into that more later, but I wanted to let you know that right out the gate. Big thing, you get 5 loadouts. Thank you. You get 5 different loadouts that you can switch between. You only get to pick 3 perks out of your tree, just so you know. You can unlock way more than that, but you can only equip 3 at a time, and you get 5 different loadouts. They talked a little bit about attributes. We already kind of know how that works, but I'll show you kind of what that looks like. There you go. There's toughness and everything down there. He levels it up a little bit here. This thing was there you go. He just said 5 different loadouts. So if you're wondering about that, there's intuition, that perk. Holding a key item, fuse/valve highlights the location it can be used for 40 seconds. There you go. Level 3 is 100. You can see the attributes. It looks like 30 is the maximum amount of attribute points. I don't know if that's the maximum. It might not be. It could be that you can get more than 30, but I would assume not, because in the dev stream, he showed himself maxing out Connie to level 10. So I would assume 30 is the maximum no matter what. Maybe you can, it's possible you can get more through that random node, because he seemed to imply that depending on which direction you go in the skill tree, it's possible that one of the random nodes could be like receive a random attribute point, something like that. So it's possible you could get over 30. But 30 seems to be the standard. So as you can see here, this is what he's talking about, or what I was talking about with you only get to equip 3 perks. Only get 3 perks. But up here, left trigger, right trigger, he's playing with a controller. You get 5 different loadouts to cycle through. So that's nice at least. He's got his attributes here that he's going to go over and spend points. So you could kind of see toughness influences the victim's survivability rate, determining maximum health and incapacitation recovery time. If you go look at that article on their website, they have links to past articles they've published that go into greater detail on what each attribute does. But basically, he goes down there, spends a bunch of points at him, you get 30 points. Had quite a few questions. One of them was, can you use your skill points on a different character? So like similar to Evil Dead or Dead by Daylight or anything else. Can you play a really high-leveled character and then use your points to level up a lower-leveled one? Yes, you can. You are able to do that. So that's good. Somebody asked a really dumb question. Wes was really nice. He said there are no dumb questions. But this one was dumb because they asked, will there be balance changes? And he was like, yes, there obviously will be balance changes, though. It will release balance changes. Imagine if he said no. Nah, we're just going to release the game, and if there's stuff that's out of control and broken and OP, we're just going to let it lie. No, they will monitor stuff and make balance changes after the game's released. There cannot be two of the same character. There cannot. That goes for both sides, family and victim. So you cannot have two Connies. Cannot have two Cooks, two Hitchhikers, two Lelands, so on and so forth. There is no proximity chat, and there's no plans to ever add any. Yes, there will be dedicated servers when the game comes out. No, there is not a DC penalty. There's no penalty for getting in the match and disconnecting, and there is no penalty for lobby dodging. So if you get into a lobby and you see, you know, there's really high-leveled players on the other team, or somebody took your main because you can only have one of each character and you leave, there's no penalty. So there's that. I don't like that, but that's a very controversial issue that many people are split on. Personally, I think that in the tech test, people were leaving lobbies left and right, and that's really annoying because it took forever to get in a match. I kind of wish they'd go back on that, but the way they described it sure made it seem like they will never go back on that. They were like, you know, we don't want to add that because what if somebody's power goes out? What if you're in a storm? What if you got to go do something? So it kind of they have a very casual approach to this game, by the way. So somebody like Alucard is going to be devastated because I see him always tweeting stuff about how, oh man, someone who's actually going to cater to the 1%. They have made it very clear in this stream. They're not catering to the top 1% of the player base whatsoever. I don't know where that dude's getting that from, but they are not. And he repeated it like for 5 minutes straight. And I'll get into that in a second, but yeah, so no DC penalty. I guess we'll get into it now because it's in my notes. He said specifically, the game is supposed to be fun, not competitive. And then a few minutes later, he reiterated and was like, this game is not about being the best. It's about having fun. I do not want to cater to the competitive crowd. They said that Gun Media does not make games about being better than you. That's specifically what he said. He was like, we make games about being very immersive and having fun. We are not about being really competitive and catering to, like, you know, super sweaty players. He made that very clear. So important to know if you're somebody out there who cares about that. And you might be if you're watching my videos, because here's how I feel about that. I'll just talk about it briefly because I just want to cover the stream rather than necessarily give all my thoughts on these. I love it personally. I know that I make videos on, like, you know, min-maxing and things like that, but I think there's a difference between getting tips and wanting to run different builds and things that are really strong and just trying to win at all costs. And that's the only thing that matters. And that's why when I made videos on Evil Dead, I was never about abusing exploits or anything like that. You know, I never liked that. I always thought that was weak and stupid. And there is definitely a crowd out there of people, streamers, that will abuse any and all exploits they can get their hands on. That's fine. I'm not into that. So I'm really into this idea of, like, focus on making the game fun first. Don't cater to, you know, super competitive stuff. That's good. I think that's a good thing. Kind of piggybacking off that, they said there's no skill-based matchmaking. There is none. And there is no plans to put any. One of the guys didn't even know what it was. So that should answer your question. It wasn't Wes. It was the other dude. He was like, what is skill-based matchmaking? They don't even know what it is. And then Wes answered and was like, yeah, there's no plans to add that. So no skill-based matchmaking. I think that's good. Ultimately, I think these games are party games, man. You don't need skill-based matchmaking. There is no prestiging or anything like that to start. So if you're somebody who's going to be playing a ton of this game and want to have some way to, like, flex and be like, I don't have a life, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that to show off to people, to start anyway. They said they would monitor it, and it was something they thought about throughout the development process, and that if there is a high demand for something like that, they would go ahead and add that later on down the line. But obviously, it's not really necessary to launch because nobody's going to be getting prestige that fast. And it does look like it's going to take quite a while to level everybody up. So that's important to establish. So I want to go back to this thing. Take a little bit of a look at this. So this is kind of what we're looking at in regards to the skill tree. So here's another thing that's important that I kind of didn't mention. Once you do, I can't imagine why this would be important to people, but I'm going to mention it. Let's say you decide to go left first and unlock all this stuff, and then you respec and you decide to go up. This stuff is not still fogged out to the left here. Same goes for the right. If you go left first and then you go right second and then you go middle last, you'll get to see all the stuff in the left and right skill trees. It'll be permanently viewable for you. It won't be fogged out anymore. I don't know why you need to know that, because you're blocked out from ever being able to go down either of these ways, but it could be possible that maybe you want to compare and be like, oh, if I go this way, it is going to, basically give me X perks, and these perks stink compared to the perks in the left tree. So maybe I don't want to go up the middle tree, stuff like that. As you're discovering things. One thing that is kind of interesting, it looks like these trees kind of combine a little bit. So if you look right here, they chose to go right instead of left. So there's no way that you just go left and then it stops. The whole skill tree stops here. So it's possible that if you go left, it like connects over here somewhere. Or maybe it goes left and then goes up and it connects here and kind of merges into the left skill tree. Because it kind of does that up here a little bit. So that's possible. Also possible that it doesn't, and then because up here it doesn't look like it merges at all, but maybe it does because it's X'd out. I don't know. Point is, it might possibly merge. So there you go. You get all these different things, and they only looked at the victim side of thing. They didn't explain any of the family side of things. This article goes into a little bit more detail in terms of like the family side of things and how there's, grandpa's ability nodes. They're only for family members. Nodes will unlock grandpa abilities, which can be equipped in the loadout screen. Buffs for the family can be unlocked during a match by feeding grandpa blood. So if you haven't seen that, there will be perks where as you level grandpa up, grandpa will then gain access to these perks that will do various things. What those things are have, I think, been leaked, but I won't go over that right now. I think it's probably things like, oh, he will roar more frequently. When he roars, it will cause this to happen. Stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically it. They got a few things here as far as perks go. Perk notes for victims. Perks of note. Rally leader. When you rally the team by helping other victims, you and your team will recover from being incapacitated faster. Parting gift. When one victim escapes, all family members will be highlighted for the perk holder, which is honestly kind of nice. That seems pretty good. I mean, we'll see. Maybe it doesn't make the cut, but I remember reading about that and thinking it was pretty good. Bounce back better. Healing items you use are more effective. Pretty standard. Perks of note for the family. Unrelenting increases your endurance. Tracker tagged. Hitting a victim will highlight them for all family members. That's really good. Exterior alarms. When active, all critical doors and gates are highlighted if they're open. This is kind of a spoiler, but I'm going to say it, so mute if you don't want to hear this. But Cook, a lot of people complained in the tech test. They were like, Cook's not that good because, when he highlights somebody with his listening ability, it doesn't highlight it for everybody else. So you have to communicate with people. I have seen that is part of his ability. He will have the ability to, and I bet you it'll be his level 3 thing that like changes the perk, the way it functions. When he listens and highlights somebody, it'll be highlighted for everybody on the team. So that'll be nice. That's probably, I don't know what the other 2 abilities will be that change his ability. That's probably what I will go for. Otherwise, unless there's one of the other two is really OP, I'll probably go for something else because I do communicate a lot on this game, which I didn't on Evil Dead. I just do on this game. I don't know why. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. This was the Metagame stream recap, which is nice because I did it in half the time that they did it. So I saved you 30 minutes. There you go. Hope this answers a lot of your questions. If you have any other questions for me, if you made it this far in the video, leave them in the comments and I'll try to get those answered. Hopefully, if I missed anything, I can answer those for you. But if it's anything that's not about the metagame, like, you know, the stupid streamers that were in the Twitch chat, they were like, what do the cosmetics look like? I don't have answers for that. Stuff like, why are there going to be custom lobbies? I don't have answers for that. So if anything in regards to metagame, I will try to answer it. Otherwise, you can check the stream. They do have the VOD up on Twitch. I thought maybe they weren't going to have the VOD up the way they were trying to hide like the descriptions of perks, but they do have the VOD up. I recorded it anyway, just in case. And then they have this article that they just tweeted out that kind of details most of what they got into in the stream. So there you go. Hope this helped you out. Hope you enjoyed the video. A lot longer than usual, 30 minutes, but it is what it is. Thank you all for watching. Apologize for any sort of like extended absence. I'm just kind of waiting for Texas Chain Saw to come out. At this point, I have been posting on TikTok regularly, but that's DBD related stuff only. So you got to be into DBD if you enjoy that sort of thing. But thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I will be back again as more information becomes available. And then once the game launches, there will be daily videos on this game. So you have that to look forward to. Thank you all for watching again. Once again, I'm going to say it 50 times. Thank you all for watching. And I'll see you all in the next video.